No. Did you guys? What's it called? Yeah.
You know about the power of replacement. Where your time. At some point.
That's your documentation.
Got it all. Yes.
Big. Oh, over 500.
What's that called?
Internally, I was getting so excited. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, like, the table is like, this one's like one on the chest. But I love. Tell me how to do
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cocktail attire. And when I was that might be your. Okay. So I think it's gonna be sure.
But that's what
So it's like a level below.
Okay, so yeah. Oh, that's
You want to be prepared. I think you can do it. I think you can do it. It'll definitely be one of the sharpest tests. It's not like that's so bad.
We're back, baby. We're back.
What? No, I'm not figuring it out.
Yeah.
Oh, really? For this time of year or? Did they have anyone else? It could be, or it just depends. You gotta see it pan out. He was a young starter, he was already looking so promising as a young guys, they were like, oh, you know, high school about to go to college. Yeah, never heard of they were born after the 90s, 2000s.
He's got, I guess, sick kids, sick wife at home, so. Have to bring this.
Thank you.
Where,
Whatever is best for you.
For the understanding.
I like the pieces on my phone.
Like 5 minutes away.
So, because I didn't have, I didn't know that I was gonna be doing this meeting, I wanna talk about just some things that I've been thinking about, things that are fresh on my mind. Why are you smiling?
So I like when you say stuff like that. It always goes on a great path.
Yeah, and if there's any identity that I have created for myself and the way you guys interpret it, when I say things like that, what do you think I'm thinking about?
Mindset.
It's all mindset, man. It's all mindset, because how you approach the year, how you approach your morning, how you approach your day, how you approach an appointment, how you approach a challenge, how you approach difficulties, how you approach adversity, how you approach success. All this stuff is driven by how you think as an individual. And that is the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest benefit that I've gotten from being in Primerica and the mentorship here is it's taught me how to think. So I want to open up with that. I want to talk about some other things. We're going to see okay, so this is up now.
Yes.
So the meeting that I want to open up with this, just to talk about some, Primerica stuff and what's coming, but this company is doing very, very well as a corporation, okay? If you look, right now our stock is trading at $130 something. When the company went public, they gave the stock to us at $15. So forget all the other investments, forget the mutual funds and American funds. We've gotten a 1,000% rate of return, which means if you put in 100 grand, you now have $1 million. I know people that put in 500 grand. Okay. So the wealth in Primerica outside of just the business, the stock opportunity has been amazing. And it's because Wall Street has recognized that we are one of the top financial companies out there. We are very unique. And we have a company that has no debt and very little expenses. Okay, so if you think about Primerica, the corporation, we have 5,000 RVPs. We have 100 people making $1 million. And the meeting that I went to that you needed to make $250,000 or more, it's called a leadership meeting. You need to make $250,000 or more to go into that meeting. There was 1,000 people there.
Oh.
Think about that, right? Now you have 1,000 people making $250,000 or more. You have 5,000 RVPs, okay? And none of those RVPs cost Primerica any money, right? So the first year of compensation, it comes to the RVP's base shop, right? So if I do it, I get the 110%. If you guys do it, you get the 70%, the 60%, I get the difference. But that first year is paid out. Every year after that goes to Primerica. So it's a very profitable company. Now, they don't pay for our offices. They don't pay for, they don't pay for our health insurance or anything like that. We're business owners, so we pay that on our own. So it's a very low expense system. The only thing Primerica pays for is they have a home office where they have 2,000 representatives. So it's a very different model than when you open up corporate locations. New York Life is paying the office rent in Tyson's Corner and in every other big city that they're in, right? They're paying their employees. There's certain obligations that come when you have that type of business model. So they're paying for advertisements. So Primerica, the way that we're run, it's very unique, and no other company can do what we did because we're 40 years in the making. And now we are going through a phase where we are getting more and more and more technologically savvy. We're moving more away from paper. We're moving more away from the traditional sense how we do things. And I don't know the order of these slides, but I want to go through just a couple things with you guys to show you what they were talking about at this meeting. Okay, so there's 1,000 people in the room, and everybody makes $250,000 or more. It was amazing when we were checking in, because imagine if I had told someone at the front desk, like, you're about to check in 1,000 people, everybody makes $250,000. Like imagine a group like that, you know? And I mean, it really is.
Wow.
It's really crazy. So $250,000 earners. Okay, so it's 1,000 with the partners. So it's 563 people that made $250,000. 45 new people that made $250,000. You know, $250,000. 45 new people that made $250,000. The compensation to the Primerica field force last year was $813 million is what the field force was paid. Now, Primerica, the CEO and the last CEO, their goal has always been that they want us to get paid $1 billion. So they have $1 billion goal of money that we get paid, right? Think about any company. They're not talking about how much money they're going to pay their employees or how much they're going to pay their agents, right? That's the last thing that they want to talk about as a corporation. We've gotten a lot of recognition and stuff like that, right? There's 11 new $500,000 earners, guys. $500,000. $500,000. There's a lot of CEOs out there that don't make $500,000. Not every company is like Apple and Google, right? There's a lot of just regular businesses and corporations, and CEOs don't make money like that. And we have 11, not people in the company, 11 new people just this last year that are making $500,000. And they all started where we started. They all are going through what we've gone through, right? They're everything. So it's really amazing. Some of these people, they came into business well after me. I mean, you see Mika Saunders is there. You know, you got some people that have been in for a while, but there's many people here, Igor and Georgina Rocha, young people, new people, you know, that are doing this awesome. 7 new $1 million earners. So all these people went over $1 million. This guy just recently, honestly, no one's even heard of him. He just made a decision. He spoke at the event. He made a decision that I just want to go out and do this, and he went out and made $1 million. I've never heard his name. I've never seen his face. You know, Brad Gerard, good friend of mine. He went out there and he made $1 million. These are people who jumped multiple diamonds. So this is a lady that I'm friends with. I met her 2 years ago when she was at 300, and then boom, last year she went from 3 to 5. Okay, a personal producer in securities making $500,000. Like, even if you just did that 1 year and then you went back to 300,000.
Oh my God.
Imagine that 1 year if you just invested that money, what it could become. Yeah. And it's interesting to look at someone like this, because it's like, this is just someone who had a job. I think she was like a scientist working in a lab, right? And imagine she comes into an interview, Shondell, you do a lot of interviews, and you just say, yeah, this is this awesome opportunity. And she goes, yeah, I like the investment side of the business. And now she's making $500,000.
Oh.
Amazing. You know, and imagine you meet someone like her. 'Cause I'm just thinking about everything I know about her. Imagine you meet someone like her, you do an appointment with her because you want to recruit her, you want to meet her husband, and he's making $200,000 at his job, and you're like, oh, will he approve? It's like, dude, this guy, she's basically retiring him now.
Yes.
After a few years, and things like really awesome, man. So they give us lists of people that are close to 500,000, people that are close to the Ruby Ring. I can see if Shaq was on there. Yeah, there he is. Right. They're talking about how the population in America is just going to skyrocket. So what they're saying is that in the next, because the whole theme is it's a new decade, right? So we're going into 2020. What can you accomplish from 2020 to 2030? And they gave us a lot of examples of people that have come in and where they've gone in the last 10 years, like that thing showed. Some people weren't even here 10 years and they've gone to, 500,000 in less than 10 years. And then they also are going to talk a lot about where the company was 10 years ago versus where we are today. So you can see here that in the next 10 years, in North America, which they're talking about specifically Canada and the US, is going to increase by 25 million people. So he said, there's always people that come to me and they say, shouldn't we be expanding in different countries? And he goes, Australia, for example, has only 25 million people. Well, why would we do that? In the next 10 years, we're going to have the size of Australia, their population move into America. So, that we don't need to do any of that stuff. And then they did a breakdown what percent, right? So of that growth, 20% will be Hispanic American, right? 10%. So the thing is these demographics are continuing to explode. You want to make sure that you have a presence in all these different communities, okay? And this is something that really woke me up, which is that Primerica's been around for a long time, and there's a lot of people that are aging in the company, right? The people that started at my age are now 60s and 70s, and they are focusing big time, guys, on these two populations right here. This market segment, if we want Primerica to continue the success, continue the amount of leaders that we have, to keep being where we are in the marketplace, well, we got to understand that, you know, this generation is aging, and we have to bring in people that are in this generation over here, right? So Generation Z, you can see that it is going to be, that is the largest population. People that are growing up staring at screens, and all their relationships are digital, which is weird as hell, right? But this is how, this is where it's going. And other companies are figuring it out, and we're trying to stay on top of it. So what does that mean for you, Rod? You got to recruit some young studs, man. We got to go out there and get some young people. We have to capitalize on that. One of the questions that somebody asked, they said, hey, who are you going to be overriding 20 years from now? Good question. Good question. You know, like if I look at somebody like Sheila, she's 45, right? I thought about that. I was like, damn, she'll be 65. You know, now Josh, he's 23. He's going to be 43. I can, you know, that. So you think about this stuff. As I go on throughout the year, I got to be thinking to myself, you know, it is what it is, man. It's business. You know, I got to get some new sharp people in my business. So there's a lot of new things that they're doing. And I'm not going to go over all this stuff, but it is really awesome. The new technology breakthroughs that they have. Yeah.
So when you say like younger people, like I definitely agree with you, but what would you say is the best way to like prospecting? Because when I'm prospecting like my friends and like other people that are my age, it seems like younger people have a lot more like questions. They want to know like certain things, like, you know, like they're like getting a regular job. So like, how would you explain it to them?
What would you say, Josh?
What questions are
They're always like what's the name of the hours?
Primerica, you choose your own hours. Yeah, be direct. Seriously, like I disagree. I mean, if someone has questions, you just answer with the correct answer, right? How amazing would it be if you could choose your own hours instead of your boss giving it to you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You ever thought of that or something? You know, just answer them, but give it back to them with something enticing.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
The whole point of, and now we're getting on a tangent, but the whole point, anytime you're people are looking for the regular normal thing and you're trying to show them something different, you have to paint a picture. So if you started out with your interview with cash flow quadrant, let's say you're interviewing somebody, right? Because in prospecting, you don't explain all that stuff. Now I'm going, okay. So if I'm prospecting someone, I just say, hey, are you, do you keep your options open? If the money were right, would you consider a change? I'm not engaging in a conversation with them. My goal is to get them what? In front of Jen. Now to Jen, they're going to be asking those questions to her, right? What's the position? How much hourly? What's the schedule? But if she does a cash flow quadrant and she shows them that this is business owner, this is employee, she's simply going to say, you're asking employee questions, but you told me you want to be a business owner. Does that make sense? So that's sort of how that is going to go. But when you prospect someone, your job is not to engage in a conversation. When they start asking those questions, you say, hey, John, that is actually what the interview's for. I'm going to discuss every question that you possibly have, but you are interested in making more, right? Okay, give me your number. I'll give you a call. All right. So back to this. There's something new that they're starting. Number one, they're going to make the Life app a lot easier. It's going to be coming in different languages. But one of the things that they're going to be doing is they're hiring life insurance wholesalers. So just like we have people come in here and they teach us about the different investment companies, American funds, and Bright House and all of that, what they're doing is they're going to be hiring people to come in and teach us about the life insurance product, what makes us different, and explaining things like how the industry is offering living benefits on these universal life policies, why they're bad, why they don't work, what's going to actually happen if the client exercises these benefits. Because this is the stuff that we hear in the field, right? If you're in the field, these are the things that we hear. So they're going to be hiring these experts to come in and train us personally. And here's the most exciting thing. This is why they're doing that. Because anybody ever heard of, you mentioned it the other day on an appointment, Ladders Insurance, right? You've heard of Ladders, you've heard of Ethos. Ethos is a company that they can give you $1 million policy with no underwriting. And, you know, ours, it stops at 300,000 for you to get approved for a policy with no underwriting. Primerica, what they said in the presentation, they said, we know all about this stuff. We know all the different companies that are out there, and they talked about that. From an investment standpoint, this is the stuff that I hear. People ask me about robo-advisors, right? No human being. And then here, they said, we know everything about them. We know what they're doing. We know how they're doing it. We know how well they're doing, how much they're struggling. We know what they're spending. We know the tech. So something that's new that's coming, and it's on this page here, okay? It's called the Next Gen product. And what they're doing is they're going to have what they call lifestyle underwriting. So it's not going to be where you answer a few medical questions and then every 45-year-old gets the same rate. Now everything is what? Data driven. Everything about you, the world pretty much knows because you have a digital stamp. Everything you search, everywhere you go, everything you look up, everything you check in on social media, all of that data is giving basically you like a human score, right? And now companies are going to be figuring that out. So what's going to happen is it's going to be much more intricate questions about your lifestyle than you're going to get a customized quote, right? So if you work out or if you run or if you do this or if you do that, they're going to come up and it's going to be different costs for men and women. And it's going to be separate apps, right? So what'll happen is we will be way more competitive as far as rates and will be more technologically advanced even than these companies right here. There's going to be things on that application, this new application, the Next Gen, where you can talk to an underwriter. Right there while you're filling out an application, you can chat with an underwriter and ask questions about specifics about different things. Wow. So it's going to be out of this world. This company and our products, to be honest, will be unrecognizable in a few years, right? See, when you go to websites, they capture your information. Yeah. Right? And we know that Facebook does this and Amazon does this, and of course Google does this. And they capture this data on you, and what they do is they take millions of people's data and then they now sell it to advertisers, right? So the advertisers say, look, I have this massage gun. Like I do CrossFit, right? And I always get ads for massage guns. And finally I spent freaking $500. Right? It's a massage gun. And it's like all the athletes use it and all this stuff. Why is it coming to me? Because they've gathered that data based on who I follow, who I look at and all that. Well, Primerica is now saying that they get basically 1 million IBAs a year with data, right? We've recruited 20, 30, 40 million people. When the recruits come in, we get information about them. And of course, for our clients, we have all the data on them. So what they're saying is we're not taking that data and selling it to others. That'd be stupid, right? But we are going to use the internal data that we've collected to better target our audience for certain products, certain campaigns and things like that. So just like we have Sales Team Pro, they're coming out with a CRM where you're going to be able to have very targeted messaging to your client base. Okay. Now, if you don't have a client base, this means nothing, right? You need a prospect, you need to get clients, you need to keep doing what you're doing. We all need to keep doing that. We need to grow our book. But these new things that they're coming out with are going to be really awesome. The mortgage thing, we don't know how long that's going to take, but the mortgages are coming. It's in certain states. People are making a lot of money. I just talked about the CRM, right? Personalized messages to your clients, build your relationships, blah, blah, blah. And what's really cool is, we have the new Turbo IBA. I want to see if they have that here. This is I mean, to me, man, when I, because I actually have a client base, this stuff is very important to me. They researched every financial company and they looked at basically their version of My Primerica. So their online portal for clients. So ours is My Primerica. You go to myprimerica.com, you put in your policy number, it brings in your investments, brings in your life. And they said it's going to be the most advanced thing out of any financial company. And the financial needs analysis is going to be live, which means that the customer can go into their portal and they can change their numbers and it'll immediately change the different goals and different numbers that they have. Like they will be able to control their own F&A as time goes on. They don't have to meet with us to do it, right? So that part is coming as well, which is, single sign-on, instant access to all your Primerica accounts, products, and documents, F&A calculator to track protection savings, and debt freedom goal. So it's going to have your debt solutions, your life insurance, your investments, all of that stuff. They're gonna come up with all the brochures in Spanish. I wanted to show, I guess they didn't put that in here, but they had, and Shaq wanted me to talk about this as well. They showed how much growth people had in 10 years. There were people that came into the company, their income was it was like their second year, they were at 200,000, they went over 1 million. People that went from 100 licensed agents to 5,000 licensed agents. I mean, guys, it really is amazing what you can accomplish in 10 years. And sometimes when we think 10 years, we think, man, that's a long time, right? But Brian Tracy said something, I think it was Brian Tracy or Jim Rohn, one of them, these philosophers, self-improvement guys, they said, the time is gonna pass anyways, right?
Yeah.
That 10 years is gonna go by. So, you're a manager at Walgreens, that 10 years is gonna go by, maybe you get a different job, or we spend that 10 years working towards something, building something, so at the end, we're better off than what we would have been if we didn't take that path, So you have a decade in front of you, man. God willing, we're all alive and healthy and freaking just, we have this opportunity, we gotta make the best of it. So there's a couple things I wanna talk about today. I want him to bring up this mindset training that I like to do once a year. I didn't get to do it. And it's just really healthy to remind ourselves. And the reason I'm going over this is not because I couldn't think of anything. It's not that. I really think about this stuff. And the meeting was a bunch of people making a lot of money that have been in Primerica for a good amount of time. And they're big, bad leaders in the company. And when I heard some of the people's talks, they were going back to stuff like this. No matter who we are, we need to check our attitude. We need to, when a car, one thing I remember about having crappy cars, which I've had most of my life, right? Old cars, crappy cars. Isn't it annoying when the alignment is off? Right? Like the alignment is it's so annoying because you always have to keep your, and I remember that. And so you go to the shop and they just kind of realign you, right? And now you're going in the right direction. And so these types of trainings, what it does is it realigns your attitude. Everybody needs this. Everybody, from veterans like me to the $1 million earners that I was with to you guys, we have to realign our mindset so that we can go in the right direction. And that can happen to anything. I own now, it's a high performance vehicle, right? But if I hit a pothole hard, right, which is adversity, if I hit a pothole hard, the alignment's gonna go off on that. It's not just old and cheap cars, and now I gotta go and get that fixed. So let's talk about some of this stuff. Are you basically going to, okay, cool. Wow, this is awesome. And I go up, I just swipe up, or I go. Got it. So let's talk about this, right? What are the number one thing that is a problem with the general public is they do not accept responsibility. This is when it comes to self-improvement and becoming a winner and becoming successful, this is the thing that most people don't have. They do not accept responsibility, okay? Do you know what is the most popular message that a presidential candidate can have? Usually when there's a landslide election, it's because the presidential candidate has a theme for his, I was gonna say his or her, but usually it's male, right? His message, and now it is his or her, it's change, okay? Obama had it, then Trump had it. Why is that so significant? Why is that so captivating? Because people start saying, well, what I'm doing in my life isn't working, and maybe this guy can do something that can give me something where I can get something, right, where I can benefit, where it can add some change into my life, and people kind of latch on to that because they don't feel that they're in control of their own life. Yeah. But the law of cause and effect says what, right? You absolutely have an effect on everything that happens, including the bad things. If things keep happening in your life, you got to start to ask yourself, not why is this happening to me, but what am I doing to attract this into my life? And I don't want to get personal and say certain things that the books talk about, but I mean literally everything. You are attracting it. And when you have that mindset that I'm in control of my life, and whatever this challenge, why these challenges keep coming, that I'm attracting it, you are now in control and you can make a difference. But as soon as you start acting like a victim and blaming the government, blaming your boss, blaming God, blaming your family, blaming your spouse, blaming your job, blaming everything, right? Or justifying, well, there's a reason why I'm here. I still do this to this day, right? We all justify. You know, you start to think of reasons why you are where you are. I don't do as much blaming anymore because I program, but it's very difficult not to justify once in a while why certain things are happening or why, you know, I'm not where I want to be or where I should be. I mean, there's so many reasons why. And then of course, complaining. I don't do that, but a lot of people do that. I mean, this is what victims do. You got to tell yourself this year, I'm not going to blame anyone. I'm not going to be a victim. I'm going to take control and I'm going to take responsibility and I'm going to make the things happen that I need to happen. Very important going into the new year, right? And there's no such thing as being a really rich victim. Wealthy people do not blame and justify, right? Now, once you get to a point of wealth, can you slip back, right? And we're all humans, not we, but they're all humans. It's going to happen. But there's no way you are going to blame your way to success. You have no recruits because you have no recruits. You don't know enough people because you don't know enough people. You're not good at the presentation because you're not good at the presentation. Because you've decided not to be good at the presentation. Whatever weakness you have in the business is because of you. It's not because of any other thing in the universe or in the world or any person that's affecting that. This is very powerful because now you have the power to become whoever you want to be. Galia, how long have you been in America? America.
1 year.
1 year. It's her decision. If she wants to come in 1 year in the country and then be a $500,000 earner in this company in the next 5-6 years, she can do that. We hear stories all the time. Half of Willie Naranjo's team in Florida, they got them off the plane. Coming from Venezuela, Colombia, these South American countries, these people are making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 now. Wow. This is your decision, what you want to do with your life, right? Don't bunch yourself up with other people in your demographic or in your age group or your level of education. You can do whatever you want, but you got to make that decision to do whatever you want. You can't think like a victim, right? You have to think positive. Because if you are not described as a very positive person, then you are negative. There is no in between. If you're not positive, then you're the opposite, which is negative. I always think in extremes like that. Yeah. You got to be positive, man. You can't be complaining about stupid stuff. One of the things that I learned early on about positive thinking is even saying things like that sucks, that's negative. Yeah. It's such an innocent thing. I still say it too, right? But how positive can you be this year? How many challenges can you turn into something positive? Find the good in something. And yes, it's a little corny. And yes, to people around you, it's annoying. But at the end of the day, it's attractive to the right people and it will be unattractive to the wrong people. I don't like negative people and they don't like me because I'm going to be giving them 20 reasons why it could be positive or why it's their fault. And people don't want to hear that. What most people want to hear when they're negative is they want you to commiserate. So what does this mean? This means, oh man, you're right, dude. That is wrong. That is messed up, man. They shouldn't be doing that to you. Is it my turn yet? Can I tell you now what's going on with me? And then they want to dump it on. And there's a book I read a long time ago. It was called Dump Trucks, right? And it was like, avoid people who are going to take their trash and dump it on you. Are you a dump truck to people? Do you have dump trucks in your life, right? Are people taking their trash and dumping it on you? I used to take pride when I was young and immature at being that person that would hear everybody's problems. Yeah, call me, man, anytime. Tell me everything, right? I thought I was like this little psychologist. And then I started to realize that it is the stupidest thing in the world because whether I like to admit it or not, it's affecting me. And number one, that person is not looking for solutions a lot of times. It's different if I say, hey, Rufy, man, this is the thing, dude. You've had a kid before. Let's say I'm married and I have a kid, which I don't, but let's say I do, right? And I come to him and I'm like, man, this is the challenge that I'm facing. And I'm looking for advice from him that I'm actually going to follow. That's constructive.
Yeah.
But if I just come and I'm complaining about my wife and kid and he starts complaining about his wife and kid, that's freaking negative, man. It's negative. No one cares that you got a ticket on the way here. No one cares you got a flat tire. No one cares that you were sick for 3 days or how sick you were, that you had to go to the hospital, all that, right? Everybody's got their own issues. There's nothing constructive that's going to come from talking about that. I've never voiced my challenges to you guys. I have challenges all the time. I've been through divorces. I've been through lawsuits. I've been through financial stuff. I've been through things with my family, my parents, my sister. It's just like, what am I going to talk to you guys? Yeah, Shaq doesn't even hear those things half the time, right? More than half the time. So it's you have to make that decision that this year, everything's rosy, man. Everything's good. You're going to make things happen, finding the good in things and suppressing that need, that desire to talk about the negative and bad things and challenges that you're going through, right? You know, one thing that's crazy, I read this in a book a long time ago and I still do this. It's a weird experiment. Like sometimes when you're not feeling right or feeling bad or you have kind of like your attitude isn't in check, just put a smile on your face. It's weird what it does to you psychologically. Like you're all pissed off and then you're like, wow, damn, that's I do it all the time. It's psychotic, right? But it helps.
Yes.
It really does, man. Sometimes you just gotta put a smile on your face and you gotta go through. I mean, there is an element in life of being an actor, right? Now you don't want to be a bad actor where you are pretending to have things that you don't have, or you're lying about where you are in life, but there is an element of, you gotta put a good face on, man.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And you just have a better chance in life, and you're gonna be more attractive to people. Because the kind of people that you wanna recruit are not gonna appreciate negativity. You have to be a positive person, you have to be a positive leader, then you're gonna attract the right people. But if you're negative, it literally keeps the right people away from you, and you are pushing them away. Think about it like that. You're attracting the wrong people and you're repelling and pushing away the right people. So being positive is huge, okay? What you think about grows. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So when you think about your problems grow. What do they say? Worrying. What's the definition of worry that some people say? It's a prayer for what you don't want. And it's so difficult to control that sometimes. But worry is a prayer for what you don't want. See, we hear that. What you think about grows. Man, I gotta think about my goals. I gotta think about my future. I gotta think about this, how I can get this thing that I want. And that can potentially grow. But most people don't think like that. They think about their problems so they grow more. They think about their financial issues so they grow more. It exacerbates what you don't want. So knowing that this year, you got to ask yourself, Robert, what is going to be the dominant thought in my life? And it doesn't happen on accident, it's intentional. You have to constantly redirect your thoughts and your mind towards the things that you want, and those things are going to grow. I mean, honestly, these are the mental checks that I do. I think, well, what am I thinking about? Am I thinking about the playoffs too much? Am I thinking about football too much? Am I thinking about, clothes too much? Am I thinking about cars too much? Am I thinking about, and it's rare when that stuff happens, but when I'm in the process of purchasing something, yeah, that is what I think about a lot, right? But I have to control these desires and these urges and focus on what I want, which is I want a bigger team. I want more money. I want my assets to grow. I want my income to grow. I want my team to succeed. And I got to be thinking about these things. Okay? Thoughts can become habits. I thought when I read this that this was an amazing revelation to me. Because when you think about habits, you think about physical things, right? When you read books about addiction, they say every time a smoker that has given up smoking drinks coffee, they start to think to themselves, man, I used to have a cigarette with this, right? So there's certain there's obviously physical habits that we have. Oh, whenever this happens, this person does this. And we think about it in a physical sense, but thoughts can become habits too, where something happens and then a negative thought habitually comes in your mind, right? You hear someone do well, then habitually you start thinking something resentful or jealous or negative or envious, right? And you have to monitor that stuff. You have to break those thought patterns. So when people come up here and they're talking about how they're succeeding, you got to tell yourself, man, I want to be happy for this person. Or when there's a new incentive announced, instead of thinking, I'm not going to get that, I don't have anyone, I don't know, and you guys tell yourself, no, I'm going to get this one. And you're breaking that habit of having negative thoughts and you're replacing them with positive thoughts. And imagine if you could have positive thought habits. But repetitive bad thoughts, man, become habitual and your head's all active there. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a slave to your feelings. Okay? Doesn't matter how you feel. I tell people all the time, right? I go to CrossFit 4 times a week. Every time you go, it's painful. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, the workout, on top of all the other things we had to do, we had to take a 100-pound sandbag, pick it up off the ground, and throw it over our shoulder 100 times.
What?
That's not healthy. It's not, I don't know what that is. Okay? That's on top of 80 burpees and doing the sit-ups and all that. And I did all that in 11 minutes.
What?
And now I before I go to the workout, I can see people's comments on it, and I can see what time they finished it in, and I can see what the workout is actually going to be. You think I'm excited to go into that?
Oh my God.
I'm never excited to go into a workout. I never feel like doing it. I'm always telling myself, hey, you can afford another day off. It's okay. You did your morning routine. You did your morning workout. This one is not even like a good workout, right? And you're saying all these things every single day, guys. And I'm having these thoughts as I'm putting on my shorts, as I'm putting on my sneakers, as I'm getting in my car. And then I get there and I do the workout and I feel great because I did it and I talked myself out of it. That's what life is about, right? You're going to listen to your feelings or you're going to do what you need to do, right? How you feel doesn't justify the actions that you should take. And people, because even in working out, they say, hey man, you gotta listen to your mind, you gotta listen to your body. No, your brain is faulty actually.
Yeah.
And that's a very serious thing. People say, oh, well, in my mind, no, your mind is faulty. You have a mind virus. You think about like a computer, right? You have a mind virus. It ain't all right up here. You need reprogramming. Josh doesn't feel like prospecting. Even if he's a good actor and he says, hey, let's go out, man, let's go out. I'm gonna teach you how to prospect. I'm gonna teach you how to get these young people, right? There's a lot of things he'd rather be doing. I don't feel like making calls. I don't feel like prospecting. No matter what I say, well, you tell me about the client and me say, yeah, it's going to be an awesome appointment. I don't want to go. Now that I live where I live, it's like, I'd rather be home. Right? I'd rather just be hanging out. We don't do things we feel like doing, guys. This is like a revelation to a lot of people.
Yeah.
We're just like you, man. I'd rather be doing something else, right? That's more pleasurable. But we choose to do what we need to do to get what we want, right? We can't be a slave to our feelings. Think about that. and I say this all the time, people look at me, they don't believe this. I am fantasizing about donuts all day long. Donuts, pastries, cake, fried food, inside I'm a total fat guy, big time.
Oh my God.
I can't eat what I feel like eating. I can't do what I feel like doing all the time. I mean, that's what life is about, man. Life is all temptation and avoiding it, right? In all areas of our life. And there's some areas where I'm better at it and some areas where I'm not. But when it comes to business, man, this is not like, hey, let me show you how you're going to love to do these things. No, what you're going to love is the result. What you're not going to love is the process. But you got to go through the process to get the result, to get that pleasure. The pleasure comes at the end of things. So this is a huge thing in psychology, right? That I have to do what's going to get me the result regardless of how I feel.
Yeah.
And if you can master self, is all the philosophers say, right? If you can master self, everything else will be mastered. Because what do we really do here, right? You say a couple sentences to get the person's number, then you have a color presentation that you read off. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person, or you know what I mean? So the business isn't that hard. Why aren't we doing more of it? Because we're fighting ourselves. We're fighting ourselves about a block schedule. We're fighting ourselves about dialing that number. We're fighting ourselves about walking up to that person. We're fighting ourselves about following up. We're fighting ourselves about, trying to get that person that has been avoiding us. We're fighting ourselves about waking up and coming to training on time. We're fighting ourselves about building our team and making these big decisions, right? We're fighting ourselves about the commitment. We're fighting ourselves about what other people think and that challenge, and do we try to get approval from everyone, or do we do what we need to do for our life? It's a constant battle with yourself, man. Goals, talked about this, can't be a wanderer. I mean, I'm not gonna make people raise hands or whatever, but dude, if you couldn't, at a very minimum, on a Post-it note, write 4 or 5 things that you want for your life, for your business, and put them on a mirror, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. If it's worth accomplishing, it's at least worth writing down. You gotta write things down. You gotta be, at some point, a professional goal setter. It will give you a billion times better chance of accomplishing your goals. So I'll give you one example, then I'm gonna move off of this, but not having a goal is, Brian Tracy says, you put on a blindfold, someone spins you around 5 times, they hand you a dart, you have no idea what direction you're facing, and they say, hit the target. You're just wondering, right? So sometimes I envy it though, right? Because it's such a free life, you know what I'm saying? You don't know whether you're winning or losing, and nothing really matters what you do with your time, hang out with whoever, talk about whoever, watch TV as much as you want. All the shows on Netflix, you get to, maybe you got your little 100,000 salary, so the bills are paying just enough to kind of get by. And there's no mental stress on these people that live this way, right? Whereas every month, we're always like, how are we gonna do it, right? And we have this positive mental stress, this challenge, but there's also no meaning in those people's lives as well, to be honest, in my opinion. Okay, that's the way I interpret it. So if you are going to have meaning in life, you are going to have goals, and you're going to know whether you're going towards them or away from them. You're going to feel that discrepancy between where you want to be and where you are, and that's where tension exists. Okay, tension exists when your brain knows that you're here and you want to be somewhere else, and that distance creates tension, and how you respond to that tension is going to determine whether you're going to be successful, right? And very powerful thing I learned from Bill Arender about goals is that the goal is going to bring with it what you need to accomplish that goal.
Yeah.
This is the craziest thing in the world, right? If I tell myself, and I really thoroughly believe it, that, like, for example, my team right now is enough to earn me 300-something thousand, okay? That's what I got. I want to take my income to 600. So I write down a goal. I say, I'm going to make 600,000 this year. And I'm willing to work and have a good attitude, and I believe it, and I look at it all the time, right? The goal, setting the goal, will literally bring the people that I need, the clients that I need, the situations that I need, the opportunities that I need, the conversations I need, the new contacts that I need, everything, the new skills that I need, the new thought process. The goal, setting the goal, will bring it all into my life so I can accomplish it.
Yep.
which is the opposite of what most people say. Most people say, well, I don't know anybody and I've already gone through everyone that I know. How can I set a goal to make 50 grand, 100 grand this year? How could I do that? Because what they do is they look at their current resources and they say, what can I get out of this? A goal setter doesn't do that. They say, what do I want? And sure, the resources will come. This was profound to me when I heard this because it was freeing. Now I can tell myself, dude, I can set any goal I want, because if it's going to bring with it everything I need, then I can set any goal I want. It doesn't matter what's in the room, right? That room will come to me once I set that goal. Very powerful. Because with the other way of thinking, your goals are going to be so incrementally close to the last one, right, that nothing's ever really going to change or explode. Not IQ, but AQ. What's, Morgan, you know what IQ is? Intelligence quotient, right? How smart somebody is. You know what AQ is? Adversity quotient. Adversity quotient. So this is something we're always battling with, right? Like Chandel does a really good interview and she goes, oh man, this person's so sharp. Now, when she tells me that the person's sharp, is she talking about IQ or AQ?
IQ.
She's talking about IQ. I do the same thing. Like, oh man, he worked at this place, he did this place, he's saying all the right things, he read that book. But what don't we know about the person with IQ? Can they handle any challenge whatsoever?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are smart, but they can't handle challenges. It's amazing. You can meet the smartest person in the world with all the degrees, but then she goes home and she tells, her mother-in-law that because she happened to be in the room, hey, this is what I just did. The mother-in-law says, oh, blah, 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 blah. Now we never see her again. That's very low adversity quotient.
Yes.
Your ability to handle adversity is so low. It doesn't matter how smart you are. You can't handle it. Or you bring your best friend into business and then they quit. Or you go on 3 appointments and none of them do business. And now it erases everything you saw in the interview, the opportunity, all your goals. None of that matters because you had a little challenge this big, you couldn't handle it. It doesn't matter how smart you are. So we start to realize that like Josh and I, we're probably not huge on IQ, but we're big on AQ. Chandel's big on AQ. Anyone who's been here for years is big on AQ. That's huge. But when you get good is when you develop EQ, emotional quotient. Now they're saying these are way bigger, right? Your ability to handle adversity, your ability to control your emotions and emotional roller coasters, right? And how you deal with your emotions, how you express your emotions, how you interpret your emotions, how you suppress your emotions. When you can master that, now the world is right there in your hands, man, right? So the smart people are, those shiny objects, but really we're looking for those people inside that are warriors, right? And they can handle stuff. So big thing when you're recruiting people. Rich people think both, poor people think either or. Okay, so I was having this really stupid conversation with these people, and he watches these videos, a friend of mine, he's gonna laugh, okay? And this guy, who's a friend of mine, his brother is, I'll let you determine this for yourself, okay? So we're talking about going to the doctor, and he's like, my brother's like, you're too young to go to the doctor. Okay, so let's start there. He says, so this guy goes to the doctor, his brother goes, you're too young to go to the doctor, man. Why are you worried about that stuff? You're a skinny guy or whatever. And he's like, my brother told me yesterday, I'm going to keep drinking soda until something bad happens. He was like, I have different priorities. He goes, I could go to the gym 3 times a week too and eat healthier, but I'd rather spend time with my kids. He's super unhealthy, loves McDonald's, pizza, fries, like these are his regular meals. And he makes fun of people who exercise. So this person, who by the way makes 200 grand a year, the guy who is saying all these things, I know him too, right? He makes 200 grand a year. He does very well financially, but there's an area of his life where he thinks either or. This is a mind-blowing concept. And you'll catch people, now that you have awareness of it, you'll catch people when they have it. So what's his either or? Either I become healthy or I spend time with my kids. What a dumb either or. right? Now, I know other dudes who are at the gym for 4 hours a day. Yeah, that's excessive to me. My workouts are literally, I just told you, 11 minutes. It was an 11-minute workout, right? I'm not hanging out at the gym. That's not, there's people who do that. That's their life. That's not me. But you can't stay healthy and have a good relationship with your kids. And I don't have kids, but I'm assuming that it's not that hard because I've met people that do it, right? What's your either or? You know, oh, I can become rich, but then I can't be a good person. I can build a business, but then I'll have no social life, right? I can go and do Primerica, but then I won't have any friends. People think the craziest, stupid stuff, right? What's the either or in your life where you are making a bad decision because you feel that you can't have the other? I mean, there are some relevant either ors that are like, because one is positive and one's negative. That's obvious. Okay, that's obvious. But there's a lot where there's two positives and people are thinking, I can't have both. You can have both, man. You can have both. You can be a self-improver. You can be a leader. You can do Primerica. You can sacrifice. You can win. You can take time out of your schedule. And you can still be healthy. And you can still have a great family life. And you can still do things with your friends. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So wealthy people, successful people think both. I can do both, man. You know? Whatever is important in life, you can have that. You can still build your business. You can still be a good person. You can still have a lot of money. This is how we think now. How can our lives be full circle in every area of our life? Rich people choose to get paid based on results. Poor people get paid based on time. So he just said, right? They always ask per hour, per hour, per hour. No one wealthy I know that runs a business is worried about hourly pay.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone wants to get paid based on results because winners say, look, it doesn't matter what you put in front of me. If I choose to do it, I'm going to get results and I want to get paid based on results, not how much time I put in. Because you know what? Sometimes it doesn't take a lot of time for me to get results. Why do I have to pay based on time?
Yeah.
Right? You show me something and I can make $100,000 on this little project right here. It might only take me a week. I don't want to hear, no one's going to pay me $100,000 for a week. But if I generate $1 million for you, I want the $100,000.
Yes.
This is how wealthy people think. So you get, when you're new, you get kind of like back down to that. Like, oh, but we don't pay hourly, dude, in the world I'm in, no one wants that. So you got to start to explain these things to people. Why in the hell would you want to get paid based on time when I've been on sales where in 1 hour I make $10,000? I'd much rather get paid based on the result than the time.
Yeah.
The average life sale takes you 1 hour. If it takes you 1 hour and you make 500, wouldn't you rather make 500 in the hour than $50 in the hour? It never makes sense to get paid based on time unless you don't plan on performing and you just want to spend your time somewhere and get paid for it, whether you're productive or not. That's what getting paid based on time means. We want to get paid based on results. This is a high profit margin business. Rich people are willing to promote and sell their value. Poor people look down on promotion and selling. I'm talking to new people here, man. Yes, you sell. Yes, you sell life insurance. Yes, you're looking for clients. Yes, you make commission. Yes, you'll make commission off them. Start to be prideful about it versus backing down to it. This is a total middle-class employee sit behind the desk mindset. All successful people, business people, they go out and they freaking promote and they sell. Everybody does it.
Yes.
Think about all the quality things you have in your life. This phone was promoted. It's changed your life. It's made your life so much better. Everything you can do with this device. An obsessed person who sold that to you, who marketed it to you, who got you to pay for it. And they'll have more money than we ever will have, probably. But we benefited from it. Everything we do benefits the end user. Every single thing we do. Yeah. Man, I got 2 calls today already from clients. How much money do I have? Oh, your account just last few months went from 100 to 112. So happy. Something happened to my car, man. I was wondering if I could get $1,200. Hey, man, it's all good. They're so happy. Oh, by the way, I was telling someone else. My friend is selling a home. I've been telling her about you. Now she wants to talk to you. Here's her number. Can you call her? People are happy.
Yes.
People have a peace of mind when they buy our insurance. You have to start to, I'm not saying be okay with it, accept it. I'm saying embrace it, run with it, and have that kind of posture where you are proud to be doing what you're doing. Does that make sense? Damn right I sell, damn right I make commission, damn right I chose to run a business, damn right I recruit, right? So, I love doing that training. I do want to talk about something else for the last few minutes, is just some things that I've been thinking about that we need to do, right? If you want to have this is different for everybody. For some people, they're here to save a little bit of money, make a little bit of money. Maybe they have something that they want to pay off, whatever the reason is. A lot of people don't even know why they're here. They just say, I want to make more money. That's not good enough, right? You have to come up with very specifically what you want out of this. What I started to realize this year was, because of the age I'm getting to, so I'm 37 years old, and I was in Hawaii, and I thought to myself, there is, like, I'll give you an example. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to watch big waves. You can't get in, but you like to watch. Okay? Anyone ever seen big waves? Okay. What are the biggest waves you've seen?
Oh my gosh, the biggest water out in the Pacific of California. I can't remember. It's just incredible.
It's amazing,
Incredible.
right? There's like a,
You have to take a boat to like go on.
That's
pull
next
out,
level.
and it's gonna like destroy a town.
Yeah.
People choose.
there you go,
Yeah.
right? So Hawaii is more equipped to handle it,
Yeah.
right? And it happens regularly. And so what happens in Hawaii is they have, and this is all over the world, surfers have a report. And so there's something called a bayou that's way out in the ocean, this thing that floats and it goes up and down. So based on the height of this thing, which sends a digital signal to us on land, they can estimate when the waves are coming and how big they're going to be, right? So when I leave for Hawaii, a month before, I'm checking the surf report. I'm thinking, okay, am I going to get to see what they call a big swell? Because when that happens, and all the best surfers from around the world, they go and they surf those waves. And we look from very far away and watch them, right? So if you go, let's say Virginia Beach, you're seeing 3-foot waves. If you go to California and certain parts of California, when you're right there on the coast, you can see 10, 12-foot waves, and it's really awesome. I mean, that's higher than the ceiling, right? When you go to Hawaii, right, in certain parts of the world, you can see 15, 20, 30, 40-foot waves. So people are surfing buildings. Like the size of this building, the size of a tree, they're surfing, where they're this big and it's this far above their head, you know, from far away, which means it's really 30, 40 feet above their head. So this is like it's like a cool thing. So when I got to Hawaii, the waves were 10, 12, 15 feet, unbelievable, right? But I had just missed a big swell that was 30 feet. And if I had stayed there for New Year's, I came back on the 27th. If I had stayed there for 3 or 4 more days, I was going to see one of the biggest swells in the last 5, 6 years from what they were estimating. Okay. So this is like my dream. I want to see this. And this is why I go there. And I just missed it when I got there, and it was happening when I was leaving. And I thought to myself, why do I have to go back home? I have to go back home because my business is not as big as I need it to be. I have to go back home because someone's got to run these trainings. I have to go back home because I have producers that lean on me to see their clients, to talk to their clients. They have to get advice from me. And that's because they're not competent enough, which is another thing I got to put on myself. So as I'm excited to come home, but I want that option of staying. And the only way that can happen is if you have a business with very competent people that are independent, that are chasing their goals and dreams. They're not doing it for me. And through their efforts, they earn a lot of money, but also I earn a lot of money that allows me to stay wherever in the world I want to be. And I get to come home whenever I want. And a lot of our mentors, they live this life, right? So how can I get total freedom? It's from building something that can pay me passively, right? So that's my goal this year is I got to go towards that. In the next 24 months, I want to be in a position where if I want to stay, I can stay. If I want to come, I can come, right? And I'm just not there. The money's there, but the way I'm making the money, it still involves in my opinion, a little bit too much of me. So these are my most inner thoughts that I'm admitting to you guys, okay? So what are some things that can really, how can you grow in this business this year? In my opinion, the number one way that you can grow in this business this year, no matter who you are, is by having width, W-I-D-T-H. Okay, so wide means like this, right? Wide means out. Wide means out. So what does that mean? That means that people that I have that are directly reporting to me, nobody's in between, right? So right now I have Alex in the room, I have Shondell in the room, I have guys that you guys have never met before, I have RVPs like Dante and Matt, obviously you know Sheila's direct to me, I have Claudia, I have Winnie, I have Galia, right? These are all people that are direct to me. So if I have Maurice, if I bring my directs into a room, I will probably have about 13, 14 people. Some of them you never met before, they just decide to do the business that way, okay? And what that does for me, it gives me a sense of security that if somebody underperforms, another person can perform, right? If a team underperforms, another team can perform. But if I only have 2 people that are direct to me, if one person does bad, that's 50% of my business. And then there's a good chance that when you only have 2, that both of them can do poorly. So you gotta be asking yourself, Peter and Tia, you gotta be asking yourself, Morgan, you gotta be asking yourself, Ruthie, you gotta be asking yourself, Show, you gotta be asking yourself, Val, right? You gotta be asking yourself, Donald. That at this time next year, and this could be the newest person in here, how many people that I have found and developed are gonna be sitting in this room next to me, right? Isn't it awesome anywhere Jen goes, she's just deep, right? She always has people around her and with her that are doing this as a team. This training I'm doing today, maybe some of you guys see value in it, but how many people did you have listening to this message? Trust me, you're gonna get a lot more out of it if you had 10 people on your team listening to the message than if it's just you. So when you say I'm getting wide, Rod, you're saying I'm making a decision, man, I'm gonna have some business partners here with me. They wanna drive here on Friday mornings, right? They want to come to all the events. They want to set appointments. They want to set goals. They want to make money. They want to get people licensed. They want to recruit. They want to add more people to the team. And if you can get to a point, it's not even that big. Anyone in this room can do this. If you can have 5 licensed people with you in this training that you have found, not you found a Josh and he found 4, that's still cool, right? But people that you are responsible for that are doing this business because they want to do it, 5 people, you can have an amazing year. If think about if I went from 12, 13, 14 to 20, I'm only adding a few new people into a Saturday meeting. This meeting is more serious, right? If you did that here, that's a really big deal. Because that means that maybe they're full-timers or whatever. But in a Saturday training, if I have 20 people that say, I report directly to Samir, right? Not like a boss employee would, but report meaning like he's my mentor, I call him directly, he's the one that recruited me, we have a relationship. Do you know what would happen to my business? It would literally triple. It's not just that 5 is, percentage-wise, I'm adding 30% more. No. It's huge. And this is the one activity that most people are avoiding. Because think about it, some of you guys have been here 1 year, 2 years, how wide are you? Right? And the reason why we don't do it is because this is what takes the most effort. Some of you guys that have no width in here, you have nobody else in here, no business partner, but you've been on 10 appointments the last couple of weeks. Hey, good for you, right? You're making money. But if you just make more money and we're sitting here next year, the question is, do you have to come back from Hawaii? Yeah, you still do. You have more money in your account, but you still need to continue doing the business. So the question for you is, at what point am I gonna be in a position where wherever I am in the world, I get to, if I come home when I want to come home based on what's going on, it's not that I have to, right, to run my business. And that the number one metric for that, Robert, is how many people productive on my team do I have coming around? And it all starts with, what's your name? Alex. Alex, the question he asked, right? What do I say to people? You figure out what to say and you go say it as many times as you can every single day, and it's going to add to that number, okay? Here's another thing, which there's no excuse for anybody. It's, man, we gotta start educating ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, I have a lot of friends that are in business, and I'm very inquisitive about people's businesses because I try to draw similarities between what they do, what I do, and it helps me for when I meet other people, I can reference this person's conversation.
Uh-huh.
So I have a lot of friends in my building, people that have invented apps, people that run government contracting firms, people that run staffing firms, it's just all kinds. A lady that has a flower shop, she's a multi-millionaire, you know? There's all kinds of references that I have to other people's businesses. And one thing that I've noticed that I do that I don't do intentionally, but I've habitually started to do it, is I'll research a lot about what they do. So what happens is they tell me about their business the next time we meet, and I know everything about drones. Right? And I know how to get a drone license, and I know about the different drones, and I know the different frequencies, and actually I just bought a drone, right? And so it's like, they're just like, how did you, because I educate the place, but just on the products that we have. It's not that hard, man. Learn what variable life is, learn what universal life is, learn what whole life is, learn why our term is good, learn what a freaking mutual fund is. I mean, you gotta educate yourself on these things. People have been coming around for months. You don't know everything there is to know about the product. You don't know Primerica online. You're not inquisitive. You're not curious to educate yourself. Because the more you know your product, the better case you're presenting to someone when you're out there. And because you know you don't know it, subconsciously, you are sabotaging yourself. And that's why you're not getting in front of people, because you know you don't know your stuff. You got to know your stuff, man. No one had to teach me this. This is something that's, you know, I've always thought to myself, okay, well, if I want to be an expert in some area, I have to know a lot about it. This is not, you know, everything that I know about the prize. The reason why people call me, it's not because I've been to so many meetings. No, man. I started this. Breaking down a policy in a meeting, teaching people how to read the fine print, teaching people cost of insurance. None of that was taught. When I came to Primerica, yeah, all permanent insurance is the same. I was going to kitchen tables telling people about universal when they had whole, and their agents like, no, that's not how your product works at all. And then I made a decision, okay, my trainers are not teaching me what I need to know. I'm going to educate myself. I mean, come on, guys. This is, how do you not know? How do you not know how to quote somebody? How do you not know how to do an application? How do you not know a color presentation? I mean, if you want to get to the next level, it's like, can we learn the basics? You know, one of my mentors taught me this a long time ago. They say, hey, you know where you can catch people? 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Because people are either sleeping or they're doing really dumb stuff. Right? What are you doing? I ask myself all the time. Do I need to brush up on my politics, or should I be reading something that is going to be more productive, you know, especially for my mind as I go to sleep and all these different things? You know, and of course it's a challenge. You've got a long day, and maybe this is your time to catch up on celebrity gossip or whatever people like to read. But what if you took a little bit of that time and just educated yourself, man? Google some different things, watch some different videos. You know, I have this, you know, infatuation with surfing and big waves, and it always shows up on my YouTube feed, and I watch it, and now I know some of the people that are big and it's like, that's what I do for Primerica too. That's what I do financial services too. That's what I do for, you know, so we all have this time and we are spending it somewhere. You have to divert some of that time into the area of your business that's going to help you grow, right? These things aren't that hard. You could actually become an expert at insurance in the next year. You could become an expert at investments in the next year. I just feel that way. Okay, so that's one of the things. This is the last point, is that recruiters, you talk a certain, like recruiters talk a certain way. Recruiting is a language. And you have to start to tell yourself that you are going to sound like an encouraging person that believes in people. And much like if you wanted to learn a new language, you would have to learn what those words were and you'd have to repeat it, and it would sound very foreign and uncomfortable to you, it's the same thing with recruiting, right? So I come in as a 22-year-old male in Primerica that thinks that I'm cool, right? And then people are telling me, yeah, man, you gotta tell them, I believe in you, man. Let's do this together. I really think that you can do this. Me and you, we're gonna make things happen. That's not how I freaking talk to people, right? I came in, I was like, what's up? You know, like, it was like distance. Don't get too close. I don't wanna talk too much. Who are you? Where I'm evaluating. Primerica was not like, I wasn't like this friendly guy that came in. I learned that this is how you talk. Like, Morgan, I want to help you reach your goals. Come with me. Let's make this thing happen. I'm here for you. Call me. We can do this. Don't listen to everybody else. You can accomplish your goals. You can have what you want. Man, look at you. If you can't do this, who should I be looking for?
Yeah.
This is how recruiters talk. You got to get that recruiting language down. You got to go past just the presentation, and you have to start believing in people and encouraging people and telling people why they can do this, right? You have to raise their confidence, and you have to shrink their doubt and fear. That's your job as a leader and as a recruiter. They're going to come in with the fears. You got to reduce them. They're going to come in with low self-esteem. You got to increase them. Again, it has nothing to do with where they went to school. It's not about how smart they were. But every interaction that you have, tell yourself this before you have the interaction. I'm going to believe in this person, and I'm going to encourage them. And then just like anything else, it becomes habitual. And you know what's crazy? People respond to it. Because who else in their life is encouraging them, being positive, telling them they can accomplish their goals, right? Some people will be turned off by it because they love negativity. Other people are going to love the positivity. Hey, my husband doesn't make me feel great. My teachers don't make me feel great. My coworkers don't make me feel great. My siblings don't make me feel great. My friends don't make me feel great. But whenever I'm around Morgan, man, she just makes me feel good. And I want that. So I want to be around her. And I don't want to let her down. I'm going to come to these meetings and all that. And they just keep coming around. And at some point, then they start making these life decisions. This is what we mean by building a relationship with people. And you should believe in people. Right? I saw people, man, they were in wheelchairs making 300 grand in Primerica. Deaf people making 300 grand in Primerica. Blind people making 300 grand in Primerica. People have been through all kinds of things. If they can do it, you can do it. There's nothing unique about your circumstance. Whatever you're going through, whatever is your issue, many, many people before you have overcome that stuff. You have to believe in yourself, and you got to believe in others, man. They already have enough reasons not to believe in themselves. Don't prejudge people. Just get them in, man. Get them in and get them to try. After that, it's not your responsibility, but be that type of person. You got to tell yourself that this year. And if you can become a compulsive believer in yourself and other people, you are going to be so attractive, and building a team for you is going to be a joke. It really is, right? And if you don't have a team, the very first slide, accept responsibility that you're not good enough at this. You want to develop this skill. Okay. So I wanted to end around 11:30, and we do have a few minutes here. So we can use this as an opportunity to ask any questions, any concerns, anything you guys want to ask me that I can help you with. Let's go around. Yep, go ahead.
My biggest issue is that I don't have business cards, and I don't like business. So, you know.
This is a great question. Your name is Cash?
And like,
Is that okay? Did I call you that? Okay.
Like, I can get out there with people, I can
Yes.
go some ball, like, hey, how you doing?
Okay.
But
How many businesses have you owned before Primerica? None. Okay, so this is a very good question from someone who's a novice at business. In the business world, Cash, business cards are actually a way for people to politely tell you they're not interested, just to be honest, okay? Because people not everyone, believe it or not, wants to reject you. So say, hey, Alex, do you have a card? Okay, great, thank you. Okay? And in the history of my business, no one has ever called me because of a business card.
yes.
Okay? Now, can a business card be an afterthought? We exchange numbers, we have a pleasant conversation. I have your email and I have your phone number, you're expecting my call, and then at the end it's like, oh, by the way, do you have a card? Yeah, sure, here, okay? Or you've already given me commitments as a client, or I'm already in the door, whatever. Here, just for the formality, yes, I'm a professional, I have cards, here it is. It's gonna end up God knows where, right? And I have a shoebox full of them, you know, that's what a business card is. So it is, I'm not saying it's not there in the process, but it's not what's going to be the difference maker. I promise you, even 1%. Now, if you're in the networking world, of course, here's a business card, my business card, but it's the people that you exchange phone numbers with. Because when I give my card, right, and yes, in networking meetings, you get theirs too or whatever, but the real exchange of our contact information now puts me in control, right? And so if I can control the contact and how often they're reached out to, now I'm in control. Now, you are licensed. He will show you how to go get business cards, and they'll be at your house in 3 days. Okay. You have to have a license to get a business card. You're eligible to get it, and he'll show you how to do it online.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a solution. What else? What else, guys? Appointments, products, challenges, issues, people, recruiting, teams.
So,
Yeah.
so a lot of times when Jinjin set a interview, a lot of them, or most of them, have done no show, no call, like basically show to at all. What can we do to try to? I mean, obviously it's on them, not on us. When we get their part already, it's now their turn to their part to show up. What is a way that maybe because of me of who I see, and maybe I thought, okay, this person might be great. Maybe it's the person.
Who's setting up the interview? Jen, you're setting up the interview?
She set 2 for this week, and I'm gonna call and confirm, but in the past I've set them. But to be honest, like, it hasn't been like how Shondel's activity has been. Like, the ratio is pretty much the same as like that. She said 15 in a week and 3 came. So the activity has to be more for her to have more coming in.
Yeah. Yeah. So what she's trying to say is, if I flip a coin 5 times, it can be tails all 5 times, which is 0 for 5 if I want heads, right? But if I flip a coin 100 times, I'm gonna get 50 out of 50, 50 out of 100. You know, I'll get half. So as you increase the numbers, the ratios start to come into your favor. But when you have very small activity and very small numbers, it can all go the right way or it can all go the wrong way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But as you increase the numbers, the probabilities will start to come into your favor. And this is like another talk, which is, it's a law of large numbers. I know you listen to this audio all the time, right? Running large numbers is a law. Anything you do a lot of, the probabilities will be what the probabilities have always been. When you do small numbers, it's very unpredictable. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So a company like Walmart, they know when you walk in, the average amount of money that people spend when they walk in per how many people walk in. But that's because there's 2,000 Walmarts and 1 million employees, and it's the biggest company in the world, right? But if they only had 1 store, those statistics would not exist. Does that make sense? And so you just got to do more, and just focus on getting those results. Have you ever had anyone come for an interview? Ever? 1 or 2?
Yeah.
All right. So just do more, and you get another 1 or 2. The good thing about this business, again, at the end of the year, if you just have 5 new people, that'd be amazing. So don't worry about it. Just keep doing the activity. The fact that she's working for you, it's bound to happen. It's not that you're doing it all yourself, right? So, yeah.
So, I work at Nike in Georgetown, and I've started to prospect for consumers because I started to read more myself that I can do that here. I know that you used to work at a bank and that you would prospect them too. What advice would you give for that for like PTs or Nike recruits?
So it doesn't really change. Okay, the only thing that was an advantage to me when I worked somewhere is I would see the same people. So it became sort of like a lukewarm market. And that just meant the things that she's teaching you to say, to talk to people, to get them to a meeting, to get their phone number, to get them to an interview, to get them to the kitchen table, your probabilities may be higher if they've seen you. But working retail and prospecting is the same thing as walking around the mall and prospecting, whether you work there or whether you don't, because you're never going to see that person again. So the advice is, you better do a lot of it, right? So now that you're doing it, how many do you do it? How many people do you talk to a day? Or
A day, 3.
Okay, so you talk to 3 people a day
Oh, like about.
about the business.
Oh yeah,
Right? So how many days a week do you work?
at least 4.
Okay, 4 or 5. So you talk to 12 to 15 people a week. That's 60 people a month. You know, you're probably going to get a couple of recruits from that. If you increase that number, you'll get more. Okay, so there's always 2 things. There's how many, and then there's how well you're doing it, right? Where's your skill level at? The only way to get the skill up is if I get the numbers up. So the reason why Shondell sounds so good when she talks about interviews and Jen sounds so good when she talks about appointments is because they do it so often. The more you do it, the better you're gonna get at it. Anything else, guys, before we end this? Yep.
I have a question about terms. Some people on the net are saying that our terms too expensive. But obviously, price is an issue that adds value, so how would you?
So our term is expensive. This is a relevant conversation. It really just depends on, number one, where they're getting their information, and then of course what they're looking for, okay? Are there cheap companies, Mr. and Mrs. Client, there's companies that are cheaper than us, there's companies that are more expensive than us. How important is life insurance to your family? It's very important, right? So is this the area in our lives, in our finances, where we want to go the cheapest? What are we really looking for? We're looking for service, we're looking for value, we're looking for security, we want to make sure that the company pays out. Where did you get those quotes, Mr. and Mrs. Client? Well, I got them from Select Quote, okay? Well, here's the thing about internet companies is there's a lot of factors that determine the price. There's the number of years. There's if during those years, if the cost is gonna stay the same, or is it gonna go up, or is it gonna, right? There's a lot of factors. Then there's the factor of your rating. See, the quote that I'm giving you today is a standard rating. Now let me show you my calculator. This is what I do, Cheryl. I say, let me show you my calculator. See, when I press this button, it's saying 100 a month. If I go and I press this button here saying you're the healthiest person in the world, it went to 50 a month. So what the internet company is doing is they're sucking you in by showing you the lowest quote, but it's gonna come out very similar to mine as well. You see? So there's a lot of different things that they can manipulate to suck you in to apply, but once the result comes in, it's gonna be very similar to ours. Does that make sense? And then you have to look at what you're getting with our policy, right? So, and then I tell a story of a lady, her husband had dementia, the policy at 20 years was up for renewal, and my policy in the 20 and 21st and 23rd year, where the 22nd year was affordable, so she could keep that policy past the initial term. What if your policy goes to $10,000 a month and you're in a situation where you know you're gonna pass soon, but you can't afford to pay those premiums? These are the different things that we're gonna do to analyze our policy versus others, but I can assure you that ours is the best on the market. So what my answer is doing, guys, is it's showing people that I get this question all the time. This is nothing to me. I'm not moved by it. You're not backing me into a corner. I'm not intimidated. Oh, we hear this all the time. Here's the reason why. And a lot of times when you respond with that type of response and that type of confidence, like I've heard this a million times, they're going to respond by saying, okay, okay? We're not going to win them all, but it is not true that Primerica has expensive term. There's more expensive term, there's cheaper terms, we're middle of the road. We're very competitive, especially for what you're getting with us. We hand deliver the death benefit. We do the death claim for you. We have great renewal rates. There's all these advantages that are embedded in our policy, right? All these different things, it's worth it, okay? Now, how much more expensive was I, Cheryl? Can I ask you that?
You mean?
You're saying that we're expensive term, maybe you might have seen a cheaper quote. How much more expensive were we?
The quote was the same, it was that more.
Okay, so how much more would our be for the coverage that they had?
I didn't know that.
Okay, how long ago did they get the policy?
Oh, it
It was on your side.
I just wanted to see.
Okay. I think she can go over that with
I
you and
will.
tell you that that's probably not the case, because you are Preferred Plus, most likely, and our Preferred Plus quotes are very, very competitive, right? So I think that Jen can go over that with you. Sure. That's a little curveball though. Edit that. So what I was gonna say right there, a lot of times what happens is the client, I'll end with this, the client is going to try to reduce you down to an insurance salesperson. They're gonna try to get you to compete with the internet or whatever. So Mr. and Mrs. Client, how much more was ours than the one you saw? What are they gonna say, Ryan?
$20.
$20. Usually not even that high. Usually not even that high. Okay? So you're gonna say, $14. Okay, $14, man. You know, mine is 80, theirs is 66. Do you have a college savings plan for your family right now? Do you have a Roth IRA? Did you know how mutual funds work? Do you have access to the #1 fund company that's out there? Do you have someone that's gonna update your financial? Okay, so I wanna ask you this. Don't worry about insurance. I'm talking about your total financial picture, your total financial goals. Let's view that $14 as a fee to me for doing all of that. You accomplishing all your goals, is it worth $14 a month to you? If not, I don't even want to do it. What do you think? See, look, let's look at it as a package deal. Because if I do the investments and I do the college and you retire with no debt and you have an extra $1 million because your investments have done so well, I don't think 20 years from now you're going to be thinking, oh, but I paid $14 more. Look at the response. Look at the response. This is how you talk. This is how you posture yourself. This is how you speak to the client. We are now arguing with a client about costs that has nothing. He's telling me, he sits down with a client, he's like, oh, I listen to all the podcasts, I read all the, yeah, how much do you have of what you've read? Did you actually get the investment that they recommended? You haven't done any of it. I'm here to help you implement what you read.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? That's what we bring to the table. Starting is half the battle. That's a cliche. We've all heard it. And examples right in front of us. You listen to podcasts, you never started it. Let's start. That's what I'm bringing. That's what you're paying for. It's not just insurance, it's the whole package. Let me show you my clients' returns. If it's you, let me show you my broker, his clients. Here are some slides of his client. They made 100 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand in the last 6-7 years. Do you think they're worried about paying $8 more for insurance? It's a package. All right, team on three. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, Tom.